Hello, Keith Rucker here at VintageMachinery.org. Guys, today got a little project that we're going to get started on, hopefully get finished up on. It shouldn't be too much trouble. I've got a little hand press here. It's basically got a little seal down here in the bottom that you put a piece of paper in, you stamp this, and it puts that seal on that piece of paper. This is a pretty old one. Don't know the exact history on it. I do know that this is owned by the Board of Education here in my hometown of Tifton, Georgia, the Tift County Board of Education. And this is their seal that they've been using for a long, long time. And this past week, somebody cranked down on this thing to put a seal on a piece of paper, and the casting broke right up here across the top. They contacted me and asked me if I could see if I could repair this for them because they really don't want to have to go buy a new one, I guess. And this one's been doing the job for, like I said, a really, really long time. This is a pretty old piece. Anyway, let's see what we can do about fixing this. Let me show you what's going on, and let's see what we can do about taking care of it. So this is the little press, and you can see right here that ear is broken off. That normally, when this works, the handle is kind of on a little cam-shaped piece. This little top die, the bottom die is fixed, the top die slides up and down, it's spring-loaded, and when you push down on it, you see it pushes that down. Put your piece of paper in there, and it just embosses that piece of paper. So what we need to do is get that little bit there fixed. Now, I will note that you can see on this side where it has been repaired in the past. Same thing happened, it broke, and I'm assuming that was brazed back together. Not sure. We're going to be brazing the other side for sure. I can tell you that. Also, the handle on this is just a piece of pipe, and I'm assuming at some point in time the original handle broke off, and this was the repair that they did to that. They just put a piece of a pipe on there, and while not the prettiest in the world, it works and has worked. So let's see what we can do about taking this thing apart and getting this out so that we can kind of see about brazing that back together. I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to take a clamp or something and basically clamp this bottom die in the down position where the spring is depressed, and that should allow me to get this handle out of here and kind of out of the way where we can get in there and repair it, and then hopefully come back and get it put back together like it should be. Let's see what we can do. I want to see if we can see if I can take a C-clamp and hold that in place. All right, I've got this little clamp right here. I'm just going to see if we can clamp that down. That's basically emulating pressing it down with the handle, but it will kind of take the pressure off of it. I'm going to take it over to the edge of my table now. I got it over on the edge so that clamp has a place to hang down. I'm going to take the broken ear off and also take out this little handle. There is a pin in here, and now see about brazing that back together. We can put the pin in to keep it aligned while we're doing our braze job. Yeah, I think this will be pretty straightforward, I hope. All right, I think what I'm going to do now is take this over to the wire wheel and just clean it up real good first, and then I'm going to grind a little bevel on both of these surfaces. We'll head over to the welding bench, see if we can get that clamped in place, and then braze it back together. That's the game plan. I'm over at the wire wheel, and I just want to get this surface cleaned up real good, so we're just going to kind of polish that out real good and get any dirt, grease, grime off. That's pretty clean. I'm going to do the same thing to this little broken ear that came off of it. We'll clean it up. All right, I think we got that done. And next we're going to bevel it, get it ready for a little weld prep there. So what I want to do next is just put that little V in here on both these surfaces so I have a little area for the braze to flow down into. Now when I'm doing this, you can kind of see the broken cast iron. I don't want to go more than half that distance. I want to leave some metal there for it to kind of engage in so you can kind of find the right position, but also give an area for that braze to flow into. So we're just V it out here about the belt sander. All right, that's about half of it. You can kind of see the area that I V'd out. I do it on the ear next. All right, that should give me area for that braze to come into. So now I need to come up with a little jig to kind of hold this in place, clamp it in place, and we'll see if we can get that braze back together. So the next step here is I need to go ahead and kind of get this thing properly positioned where I want it for everything to line up right. Now I measured the gap in here is 3/4 of an inch. So I found a piece of 3/4 inch steel and cut me a piece off, and that's going to fit right up in there. And then we can set and clamp this piece directly to that, kind of sandwich it between all that, and that should get the thickness correctly. Because we left part of that original material in there, you can kind of index that in there to get it right where it needs to go. And I also got this alignment hole. I think I'm going to go ahead and drill a hole in this and have that pin drop all the way through so that we can make sure that pin stays aligned. So I'm just going to take a transfer punch here. This is just a punch the same diameter as that hole. And I'm just going to put a little center punch onto the piece of steel in between there. And I'm going to drill out a hole. I'm going to actually probably drill it out a little oversized from that. And we'll drop that pin in there as well. We'll clamp that together. And I think we'll be ready to braze. So let me go drill this hole out and we'll be right back. I think we've got things set up here. I've got my 3/4 inch spacer block in between there. I've got a set of vice grips kind of just clamping this nice and tight, and it's kind of keyed in there where we were before. We got our V'd out groove. So I think we're ready to start brazing here. I'm going to be using just a regular bronze brazing rod. Kind of like this. I use the ones that are pre-fluxed, and we'll just come in here and heat that up and close that gap up with some bronze there. Now with brazing on cast iron, this works really well. It's difficult to weld cast iron. I'm not going to say you can't do it, but it's difficult. Brazing is a lot easier, and it honestly works very well. The strength of a brazed weld joint or brazed joint here on cast iron is nearly as strong as the cast iron. So it typically holds up very well. So we're going to get in here. I'm going to take my torch. I've got a fairly small tip here, and we'll just kind of start heating this up. I'll start by kind of preheating. I don't want to just heat up one little small area. In this case, I really don't want to heat up the whole part too much because I'm not sure what these dies are made out of down here, and I don't want to melt anything. And I do know that the bottom one is kind of set in lead down here in the bottom. At least that's what it looks like. It may be tin. It's kind of a melted product in there. I don't want to get it hot down here and melt that. So we're going to try to keep the heat concentrated up in this area, but at the same time, I don't want to focus my heat in there and keep it too much of a heat gradient across this. We want to keep it fairly hot. And on this part, there are going to be some compromises, obviously. So let's get in here, see if we can get that heated up, and see if we can get it brazed. Get a neutral flame going. And again, I'll just start by heating the area up here a little bit. I'm just going to take a little bit of time here, slowly bring the heat up before we start concentrating in that area to weld. Patience is key here. We don't want to get in too big of a hurry. Just slowly put our heat in there. I'm starting to see a little bit of a color change where we ground it. It's kind of turned from just that metal color to a blue color. That's showing me that the temperature is changing in there. Now it's turning more of a black color, then it'll probably turn kind of a straw as it heats up and kind of heads toward red. I don't know if you can see that in the video or not, but I can see it here. I'm starting to see a little bit of red up here on the top part. There's more mass in this bottom section, so I'm kind of concentrating my heat down there. And once we kind of get a red color throughout, we'll start applying in some bronze and letting it kind of melt down in there. All right, starting to see some color good. And we'll start applying a little bit of braze in there. And I just kind of like to put a little dab in there and let it kind of flow down into the part. We'll just kind of move our way down as we go here. All right, I think we're going to call that good. I'm going to get my welding blanket. We're going to wrap this thing up and just let it cool down real nice and slow. And we'll come back later and check that out. This part has cooled down to the point where we can handle it very easily. Let's go ahead and see if we can get this thing disassembled. I'm going to get a hammer and tap that pin out. There we go. That piece comes right out. And I think what I'm going to do is take this over to the wire wheel again and just clean that up real good. Get that little glass, the flux off of it. And we may even see if we can smooth that up a little bit, although I'm not too worried about it. That side's been welded up previously, so it's not that big of a deal. And I think I'm just going to go ahead and give this thing a new paint coat while we're at it as well. So there it is, cleaned up. And I'm going to go ahead and assemble it, and then we'll go paint it. I'll just shoot it with some rattle can paint. Let's see, I think this goes in like such. Close that back up. Make it a little bit easier to get that pin in there. There it is. Just take a piece of paper. Board of Education, Tift County seal. All right. I'm going to give it a coat of paint, and we're going to call this done. I mean, when I talked to them, they said, hey guys, hey, Keith, all we want this, we just want it functional. We're not worried about making it beautiful. We just want it functional. So I'm not going to spend any more time trying to do anything fancy to it. We will give it a coat of paint just to clean it up a little bit. But other than that, I think it'll be ready to roll. Well, there it goes with a little bit of fresh paint on it. Again, you know, we could have probably spent a little more time and got it looking a little bit nicer, but that was not their goal. Their goal was to get it working, and I think we got it that. So again, let's put it in here. The back end kind of needs to be attached to get good leverage, but when you do that, you get the seal. Let me zoom in and show you that. There we go. I think we are functioning like we should, and that was what we were after. Well, there we go. Quick little easy project. Wasn't too bad at all, and I'll get this delivered back over to the school board office, and they should be back in business until they break it again. Hopefully that won't be for a long time. Guys, with that, we're going to sign off. As always, thanks so much for watching. Please subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Those thumbs up, those comments, they really help out a lot. Big, huge thank you to those who support the site financially through Patreon, PayPal, and now through YouTube memberships. You can join through YouTube, and that helps out a lot as well. And with that, we are going to get out of here. We'll catch you on the next video. Again, as always, thanks for watching.